and Assalamu alaikum. Now, whether you are planning to study abroad, but you think that you're overwhelmed with the complicated admission pathways, the very rooted and very cross-taking entry requirements, or the unfamiliar academic systems, or you wish to explore opportunities to procure an international certification through a transnational education pathway right after your high school graduation as either an O-level, metric, or intermediate student while being here in Pakistan, that is closer to home, and is going to give you the opportunity towards an economical qualification. In either ways, with all that anxiety and uncertainty building up, we are here to tell you that you are certainly not alone. Our today's discussion is primarily going to guide you with certain actionable information, is going to clear your misconception, is going to bust the myths, and most importantly, is going to make the next stage a little more simpler for you so that you're able to make an informed decision about your future, no matter where you're coming from or where do you wish to lead. Our today's episode is going to dive into the foundation program as a crucial stepping stone, particularly for high school students who wish to take a smoother transition into a globally recognized education system as an undergraduate student. Now, the foundation year is not just a gap filler, it's considered to be a launch pad, one that aims to open up doors and opportunities that otherwise would have been closed or bleak. To put it in a nutshell, without foundation, you might be exposed to lesser opportunities, and with foundation, you might be exposed to more opportunities. Now, once you successfully complete this foundation year, you very confidently step into an undergraduate program, which is going to be often with the same institution or university that you have been associated with. Now, whether it is improving your linguistic skills or your command over the subject knowledge or boosting your confidence, the foundation year certainly prepares you academically, culturally, but also personally. And in order for you to understand this next gateway right after your high school graduation, so that the process becomes more actionable and manageable for you to follow, we have with us none other than our Director, Academics and Student Affairs, Ms. Arwa Ajabshah, to answer these very intricate questions. Assalamu alaikum, Ms.
Walaikum assalam.
I hope you're keeping well with all that on your plate.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for taking out time. Our today's discussion primarily is going to be all about the foundation pathway because it has created a buzz since the past few years in the market. And the students, particularly those coming from the O-level background or the metric or the local stream or the O-level intermediate and metric background, are concerned about what this one-year pathway actually has to offer. So, to just put it out there, what is the association that we as an institution have with the foundation program? What is the foundation program all about? And why is it creating a buzz in the market?
Right. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me here. So, a lot of students are concerned whether they are, having the opportunity to explore into the university pathway. And, multiple students are also concerned when they are completing their O levels, their matriculation, even the intermediate. So, they don't know what options they have locally as well as internationally. So this 1 year international foundation will be equivalent to A levels, and it is also equivalent to intermediate.
Right.
So this gives you a pathway into the universities which are recognized locally,
Right.
as well as abroad. So now the entire buzz about this entire 1 year program is that first of all, it is considered to be more on practical learning rather than exam centric and more theoretical. This 1 year international foundation would allow you to explore more opportunities, practical learning basis, skill development classes will be taking on board. So it is not just exam centric, which is more out there in the A level market. And a lot of people find it very difficult and challenging to do the A level program because it is completely exam centric. So they don't get the opportunity to explore into the other markets as well. Now, this entire 1 year international foundation that we also offer will have a gateway and it will bridge your gap, whether you are learning and whether you are expecting to do a program which is completely taught in English language, because it is a pathway and it is a less cost effective pathway towards the international universities as well as locally. So it is more focused on practical learning rather than the exam centric.
Okay.
So that is the main bus that is for the 1 year pathway that we
Right.
offer.
So generally, when we talk about the foundation program, a lot of students from the Cambridge and the local stream, they reach out to us, and this has become a very staple question over the years. That Miss, are we eligible for the foundation program? So speaking of the eligibility criteria, would you just expound on that a bit? That who is it meant for anybody and everybody who's considered to be a graduate of O level? Do they have to complete those 8 core subjects of O level? How much percentage they need to have, and if they belong to the local stream? So who is it meant for?
So the International Foundation Diploma, even though it is meant for everyone who is completing their high school level graduation, for
Right.
example, if you're doing the O level program,
Right.
or if you're coming from the matriculation or be it intermediate background as well. However, the entire eligibility criteria is such that obviously you need to pass those 8 modules in O levels with minimum 6 C's as a requirement and an
Right.
eligibility criteria. And if you're coming from the matriculation or intermediate background, you need to have at least 70% or above in your matriculation or intermediate. The ideology and the intent behind it is that even though you will be able to get into the International Foundation Diploma, however, if you are completing that and you want to progress into the undergraduate level programs, it might be difficult for you if you are not coming from that particular set of background. But we also encourage the students that if they are not getting the required set grades in their O levels or intermediate for whatever genuine reason, sometimes it's also because of genuine reasons that they are not able to um, get those required results. So then we have those entrance requirements as a test and as a curriculum which is designed that will also allow you to enroll into the foundation program.
Right.
If you don't have those set grades. But I just want to make it clear as well that if you don't have 8 O level passes, the regulatory bodies in Pakistan require that as an equivalency criteria.
Yes.
So that is required that you have to complete your 8 modules in O levels and you have to complete your matriculation, right, or intermediate. Even if you don't do your intermediate, and if you are doing the international foundation, that is equivalent. So at least you need to complete your matriculation and O level 8 modules for the regulatory bodies to at least give you that equivalency as well.
Right. So, just to reiterate, which means that anybody who might be a below average metric or intermediate student, and this is a general understanding that we have, that Cambridge students are exposed to a slightly richer and international curriculum as opposed to who's coming from the local stream, right? So, is it going to be slightly overwhelming as a foundation year for anybody coming from the local stream as opposed to those stepping in from O level?
See, it might not be overwhelming for a student who's coming from
Right.
the local background
Right.
because then what we do is that the foundation program is designed in such a manner that even if you are from an average or a moderate background, academic background,
Right.
we have certain workshops and classes conducted during the entire year to groom you, to shape you, to give you those skills which are required for the undergraduate progression.
Okay.
So even if you are not academically full-blown student and you have been an average student, right, we will try to assist you and we will try to inculcate, because the curriculum which is designed, as I mentioned earlier, that it is more practical learning rather than the theoretical base. So we will also start working on your skills, your public speaking, your drafting skills, your English language skills, so that you have a smoother transition into the undergraduate universities.
Right. If just to give an overview to the audience as to how the curriculum of foundation is designed.
So the curriculum is basically divided into um, assignments plus examination. So it is not completely exam based.
Okay.
However, for certain modules, you will have to give exams as well. For example, there's a course about international foundation mathematics, or there's a course about English, developing your English language skills. So they will be having your exams plus assignment. What happens is that within that, you get an entire flavor of assignment plus exam. So you are able to develop on your skills.
Right.
Plus, you're also able to develop on your intellectual capacity as exams are closed book and the exams are conducted.
Okay.
Right. So that will be an entire curriculum which is designed.
And it is also, as per the general knowledge, is foundation predominantly about linguistic subjects? Is it based primarily on English language? Are there more subjects which are based on the enhancement of linguistic skills?
We can say that we have multiple subjects for linguistic knowledge, but it is not purely centric towards linguistic, because we want to add more towards it. For example, if a student wants to progress towards a law field, or if a student wants to progress towards a business field, or if a student wants to progress towards a computer science field, it will give you an overall holistic exposure within those academic curriculum. So it is not purely based on linguistic knowledge. It is more to it.
Right. More holistic.
More
There are
holistic.
other subjects as well.
100%.
Are there options, or these are like core subjects that the students have to, just pick?
They are core subjects
They're
which
core
the
subjects.
students have to
They
take,
have to
because
take
it will
for the year.
include business subjects as well. For example, they have an accounting subject as well. And they have mathematics, which will build up your IQ system as well.
Right.
So it is more related to that as well.
Right. So being a very wholesome curriculum, one of the very active questions that have been coming to us since the past few months is that, Miss, am I an equivalent now to an A-level graduate after doing foundation?
100%.
Yes.
100% you are equivalent to an A-level student, or you are equivalent to intermediate. And even if you've done your O-levels and then you do the foundation, it is regulatory. It is also recognized by a regulatory body, which is the IBCC, and it is also internationally accredited by the Ofqual regulators in the UK. So it is recognized locally as well as internationally, and it is exactly equivalent to A-levels. So it saves your time. It is cost effective. Plus, it is also giving you an exposure towards the international universities as well. And it is a gateway towards both locally as well as internationally.
Right. So, picking up from that information, and it seems like a market disruptor also, because we have known A level for the longest time, and now there's a disruptor introduced in the market. Anybody, just for everyone's understanding and clarity, any student coming from the pre-engineering or pre-medical stream, right after completing their metric or O level in that background, takes up foundation as a shortcut or as an immediate brief gateway towards university, will now wish to step into a pre-engineering or a pre-medical school. Why? Because that's their background. Is it going to, sort of aid those students or not?
So, in order to clarify that question, obviously, this is something which is a very frequent question that has been asked in the market as well. Now, if a student is coming from an engineering background or a medicine background, and if they wish to complete their undergraduate qualification in those sectors, they might not be able to do that because the foundation program gives you an equivalency for humanities and social sciences. So the regulatory bodies in Pakistan, which is the IBCC, they will be giving you the equivalency for humanities and social sciences. So this, in simple terms, this means that you will be able to go towards the profession of law, business, psychology, computer sciences, or accounting and finance, economics, but you might not be able to progress into the engineering and the medical field per se.
Right. So the IBCC equivalency of foundation is going to be granted only based on humanities and social sciences.
Correct.
So those opportunities, as in undergraduate programs, will open a lot of doors locally or internationally. Speaking of global acceptances now, what should a foundation student expect with that piece of paper and certification? How many countries will they be stepping into if they wish to? And how to go about researching for the best university that they can, kind of like aim for?
Right. So the international foundation diploma that you do, even though it is a 1 year, it is a 1 year curriculum, it is a 1 year diploma, right? It is accepted in multiple universities across the globe. For example, if you wish to go to the UK, if you wish to go to the USA, if you wish to go to Australia, be it Canada, Malaysia, New Zealand, there are multiple options which are available. And also Malaysia, Turkey, these countries also accept this foundation. Now, if a student wants to step into such countries and into such universities, I would highly advise the students to research themselves as well online. And they should also do a thorough research as to which universities accept such foundation programs, because you will have a selective university range. Even though there are, I mean, more than 90 or 100 universities that accept globally this entire foundation, but those are selective universities and you have to do your thorough research. So some of the universities which I can name are University of London, University of Bristol, University of Nottingham, then you have Curtin University in Australia and Malaysia, then you have York University in Canada, and many more universities that are accepting this entire foundation. And I think in today's world, they are also moving towards a more lucrative option which is available. So instead of not only they are just fixating themselves into the A level or the intermediate pathway, but rather giving you more options with the 1 year international foundation as well.
Great. I think this is going to clear a lot of students, because when it comes to global reach and acceptances, being a career counselor, I receive a lot of queries in relation to that. So thank you so much for clearing that up. When it comes to the foundation program, particularly understanding that, yes, any intermediate or metric student, if they want to brush up on their skill set, if they want to enhance their competence, boost their confidence, they can step into this pathway. A very recent question that one of the regional directors, in fact, of one of the local schools asked me was, Adila, is it going to give the students the exemption on certain linguistic tests, which might be an eligibility criteria in certain universities during their admissions? So, certain universities that we know of locally as well as internationally have IELTS as one of the entry requirements, right? So, doing foundation is going to exempt your need to have an IELTS test, or is it not going to?
Right. So again, towards coming towards this question, the exemption is primarily depending on the university that they are applying to or the institute that they are applying to, because I believe that every university has separate criteria. Even though if you've done your O levels or you've done your foundation or you've done your intermediate, a lot of universities give you a pathway and they might exempt you based on the qualification because it is taught in English language. So that itself might be an exemption which is available. But again, you have to do your research about depending on the university that you are opting for. So a lot of universities do require IELTS because we belong to Pakistan, and as a Pakistani citizen, they might require you to give IELTS And most importantly, I think the matriculation and the intermediate students will have to do it because the schooling is done right as a local board. So the O level student might have that leverage. They might get an exemption, but an intermediate and matriculation student might have to go for IELTS, or they might have to give an alternative test, which is Duolingo or any other alternative linguistic test, which are the requirement of the university.
Again, I think it all comes down to doing your thorough research as to whether your university, and since we know that ever since the enhancements and the developments in the academics which are coming in, and HEC has also been very flexible over the past few years in welcoming certain pathways, especially when it comes to the TNE ambit. These students need to do their thorough research as to which university is going to accept foundation as an exemption of a linguistic test, be it IELTS or any other. When it comes to now knowing foundation students since quite some years, do you think these students are still facing certain challenges in terms of their academics? Or they take the foundation year as a breather, that it's very doable, it's going to be an easy pathway, I'm going to easily land into the best university here or somewhere abroad? How do you look at those challenges and the mindset and approach that the students who come from the local or the O level Cambridge stream have towards foundation? How do you look at it?
So, if you were looking at the challenge part and the credibility and the criteria, the foundation program is also quite challenging. Even though it is easier as compared to A levels, and it is definitely an easier system as compared to the Cambridge because it is not purely centric towards the exam. However, it does have certain modules which are challenging, right? So the students will have to give their hard work. The students will have to study towards it, because if you are not progressing and you're not getting a good grade in the international foundation, you might not land up in a top tier university ahead. And even if you do in the top tier university, you might have to struggle further as well. Right. So I believe that the students should also work equally, even though it is considered to be an easier pathway, but it is challenging in terms of the linguistic requirement, in terms of the skill development workshops, in terms of the maths requirement. So it is equally important that the student focuses more in the international foundation as well.
Yeah, so we do see this range, and as our senior faculty member also associated with Denning since quite some years, have you seen a variation or distinction between students coming in from foundation or students taking the immediate pathway of A level? Have you seen a difference in terms of their aptitude? Because I have known students of foundation who have excelled in foundation, received distinctions in foundation. We have very, very prolific faculty members who are taking the lead when it comes to the foundation program here at Denning. So, have you seen this distinction, or do you think it's a very subjective outlook?
It is 100% a very subjective outlook that even the students who are coming from the A level background might not excel that much. And the students who are coming from the foundation background, they excel more as compared to the A level student background. And even when they are coming from the intermediate or the matriculation background, the mindset in the society is such that the inter or the matriculation student might not excel as much as compared to an A-level student.
Right.
But I have seen the experience in so many years that a student who has completed their foundation, be it from a metric background or be it from the O-level background, they might be at the same level. And sometimes the metric student might excel faster and at a better pace as compared to the O-level student.
Right. I think it's very important for the students to understand that different universities might plug the foundation program and impart it differently. We are not following a hybrid system. It's not a virtual system. We have active classrooms. Is there more that we do, or is something that our faculty or we as management, in order to solicit this qualification in the best way possible to our students, are we doing something extra that is beyond the academics, or we are plugging and integrating something more with the academics to ensure that the product that comes out of the foundation program is very suitable for stepping into an international undergraduate pathway.
100%. So we don't only focus on classrooms and we don't focus on classroom teaching methods, but rather more to it where students will be having workshops every week related to skill development, related to drafting, related to debates. Then we have MUNs going on. So we have a lot of competitions which the students might be inculcating. Then if the student wants to progress towards a business or a computer sciences sector, we will be having multiple competitions going on. For example, the Data Dash or the Beyond Tech Society that will be conducting multiple workshops where the students are decoding and they are learning about the web development, and it is more focused on outside the classroom curriculum as well. So we want students to excel in their pathways which they are thinking about in the future as well. So I think that is more important because it builds up your soft skills as well, which are required in the future progressions. So definitely we have a lot of societies that are actively on board. So it is not just academic centric, but rather more towards practical learning.
Because it's very important for students to understand that academics is just one part of it. If you're stepping into humanities and social sciences per se, you need to have a certain quotient in your personalities and personal development towards, your academics and application that kind of polish your personality and polishes your demeanor is very important with academics. So that is very essential. I think you have touched on all the essential pointers in helping the audience understand what foundation program is all about. My one last question is primarily going to be for all the parents listening to us, for all the students who are, who have just graduated from O level, who are giving or either giving their exams or about to graduate from O level, metric, or intermediate. That is foundation year just a gap filler, or do you think it is going to be a very smart investment?
I personally believe that students who are doing their O levels or matriculation, or even if they've done their intermediate, take this opportunity to complete the international foundation, even though it is a 1 year pathway. That it saves your time, it saves your cost. It is an international qualification which gives you IBCC equivalency, Ofqual regulatory equivalency, which allows you to progress into multiple universities which are locally accepting, or it will help you to progress into an international qualification or any transnational education institute. So I think it is very important that you should not be focusing more on academic centric, rather give it, an option, or rather give a pathway towards more skill development options which are available as well.
Right.
Right.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Arwa. I think this would clear a lot of air, which a lot of students aiming to do foundation must have. A lot of, perplexities have been resolved through this very brief discourse. We would like to, further bring in more faculty members now from foundation so that they can expand on the subject knowledge also as to what foundation has to cover. But thank you so much for this very brief snippet, and it's going to kind of enlighten a lot of students out there who are aiming to look for international options sitting here in Pakistan. So thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much.
And I think this is going to be very fruitful for the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will be expanding on this conversation now with the faculty members so that we will further your knowledge into what the foundation program has to offer, primarily when it comes to the subject knowledge that it imparts. So, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that this brief episode actually gives you an overview as to what the foundation program, this 1 year qualification, is all about, with the ever evolving advancements in qualification, in academia. It is very important for you. And we have touched on the point of you doing very thorough research, be it during your academic year or before taking the first move, whether this particular option or foundation or any other that you wish to take is going to be the best fit for you or not. So any questions will be welcomed. You can leave us in the comments, but I hope that this is going to give you enough clarity that this 1 year foundation is going to put you at par with any other high school graduate of A level, while giving you the IBCC equivalency of humanities and social sciences and the gateway for you to step into the university right away. So thank you so much for joining us, and I shall see you in the next one.